I want to give people a chance to get to know like the real Petal and not just necessarily like Petal giving a speech, or not that you're not great at that, but there's like a lot more to you than just, giving a speech at a
Yes.
local, or, being on the news, or in a newspaper article or something. So I just wanted to, just ask a couple questions if that's okay with you, so we can like get to know you on a personal level. All right.
Sorry,
And
make
like,
sure there's
is
no
there
one as
any
long.
limits, or I can just ask anything and then you can decide not to answer if you want?
Got it.
All right. So this is really interesting, and I only learned about it a little while ago. But you actually went to school in Canada?
I did. I did. My middle school and high school career were in Canada. My family, we moved a lot. And one of the places we moved to was Canada. I have family there. We used to go visit every summer. And then my parents made the decision to move there when we were getting closer, myself and my brothers getting closer to high school age.
Oh, okay. And so, and your parents are immigrants, right?
Yes, both of my parents. I'm actually the only American-born child in my family.
Oh,
So
wow. Your
you know,
brothers were born there.
my brothers were born in Guyana. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and my parents came here. And I tell people all the time, like their journey was just amazing because they came with nothing really, and we lived with my aunts. And so there was at one point there was like 11 of us in this one bedroom apartment in Vanderveer Projects in Brooklyn.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and
And
they
then
just
you moved to New Jersey and then Canada?
Yeah, so my parents, they worked really, really hard. So we moved from Brooklyn to Plainfield. So I went to Woodland Elementary School in Plainfield. And then from there, we moved to Canada. And when it was time for myself and my siblings to go back to college, we moved back to the United States.
Okay.
Go back to college, go to college.
Right, right. And then where did you go to college?
Seton Hall University, I'm a pirate.
Oh, okay.
I
All right.
do.
And did you major in education the whole time?
No, actually, my I have two bachelor's degrees. One is in communications and one is in English. But I like it's funny because I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. And like since I was 5, I would like set up little dolls and play school. I had chalkboards, I had everything. But when I went to college, I had it in my head that I was going to be like a sports broadcaster because I was a huge Scottie Pippen fan. So I ended up studying communications and English, and I got my bachelor's degrees in those areas. And then I went back to school for my master's degree in education.
Oh, okay. All right. And so, if we could, so we started talking about your family a little bit. Why don't you tell me about your parents? Tell me about your dad and your mom.
So my parents are complete opposites, but they were like inseparable. Like they were the kind of couple that people would say like you knew they were a couple even if they entered the room separately because they were so like attached to each other. My dad, he's a pastor. He's very quiet, and he is very introspective, and we have those deep, deep conversations. And he likes, he's not into big crowds. Now, my mom, she's a party. She was such a party. She was loves a big crowd, loves to be welcoming, loves to be inviting. And she was like the most empathetic person that I ever met. She was like this warrior. She just always believed in people being treated well and in making sure that people treat you well. And so that was one of the things that she constantly instilled in us. And she had this way of making you feel like there was nothing in the world you couldn't accomplish. And so the combination of the two of them made for just like a wonderful, wonderful upbringing. And I tell people all the time, like, we didn't have a lot of things, but we had so much love in our house. And I'm the only girl, I'm the youngest child and the only girl. So I enjoyed being spoiled. But the combination of my parents' personalities are definitely where I am now. This overwhelming need to right every wrong that I see, that was definitely my mom.
Okay. And so, your mom passed away, though, right? How old were you? Like, how long ago did she pass?
So my mom passed away November 10th, 2009, and I was 30, which I know for a lot of people sounds like relatively grown up,
Not to
but
me.
I never felt more like a child than when I lost my mom because she was like, and I know a lot of people say this, but my mom was truly the best person in the world. Like um there were like everyone, when my mom passed, was like, oh my gosh, she was like my mom too. And the funeral, I remember being so packed that we had to like open overflows. And because she was just a really, really wonderful person. So in 2009, I had just turned 30 in September, and my mom passed away in November. And it was so incredibly hard
Was she
because
sick, Petal?
she was. So my mom was diagnosed 2.5 years prior to her passing. She was diagnosed with this extremely rare form of pancreatic cancer. And my mom actually, she was present during 9/11, and she got sick. She was diagnosed in about 2006 with this really rare form of pancreatic cancer. And so they had told us originally that she should start making plans because she only had about 6 months. And like that was so devastating in and of itself. But my mom never acted like she had 6 months. Like she never, it didn't, it wasn't really real to us because she wasn't behaving as though it was all over. And then, which is why I'm like so sad at the loss, but so super proud of her fight because no one expected her to make it that long. And she lasted 2.5 years
Yeah.
after her diagnosis.
What do you think if your mom was here, and I believe she's here in spirit world, but if she was literally here, what do you think she would say about you running for the secretary treasurer of NJA?
First of all, she'd probably have a T-shirt on and wear it every day that said "Pedal for the People." My mom, like Katie, you have to understand. My mom, she was celebratory of people's accomplishments and victories, and she was so proud because my parents had never been to college or university, and so like she had determined when she came to this country that um, her children were going to go to college. So she had made that determination. And when like for instance for our graduation, everybody had to go. And when they said don't clap, don't cheer, my mom was screaming at the top of her lungs, excited. So if she knew about this campaign, she would be elated. She would be my biggest supporter. She wouldn't have understood Facebook, but she would have joined it just so she could like all of the pictures. She would have worn all of the shirts.
She'd be like one of those old people that's like writing statuses thinking that they're direct messages. You know how you see people.
Listen, and she probably wouldn't even have gotten the title of the position correct, but she told everyone that that's what her daughter's going to be, and she would have already claimed it.
Oh,
she would have already.
So she would have known, like we know that you're winning. What we're saying. So, and connected to that, how does it feel to be the first Black woman about to be elected as the NJA Secretary Treasurer? Like, how does that play into it? Because it's 2021, and so to have our first Black Secretary Treasurer and a female too.
I feel like it's crazy in 2021 to say like your first Black anything. But it absolutely plays into it. And it's something that I took into consideration because representation matters. And when I first announced that I was running, there were members of color who I had never met in my entire life sending me messages like, thank you so much, or I see myself in your campaign, or it's so nice to feel represented, or I see you. And even now, like when I appear like on the news, like I was on channel 12 all weekend one day.
Yeah.
Weekend, and I got all of these calls like, it was so nice to see you on. It was so nice to see you on. And I think then it started to hit me that this is representation. This is a door opening. This is telling everybody else that you are worthy, you are capable. It's as much for you as it is for everyone else. And that's not something that I take lightly at all. While it's a little disappointing to know that we still have these firsts happening. I'm so like unbelievably proud to be the first. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to serve. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you said, like being on the news and because of Montclair and what's happened in there, and you guys refusing to work in an unsafe building, and then getting sued by your superintendent and all these things. So you happen to be on the news a lot. And even with this, right? Like you're in meets all the time and Zoom. And, as a Black woman, that makes it especially we know that Black women and hair, there's this whole conversation around it, and there are people that have said to you, and I know this because we're friends, but people that have said to you that you should, maybe you should explain what they said, like something in regards to you don't want to have your hair natural, or you want to, come across, like, what do you think about that? Like, first of all, just tell us like what was said to you, and then like what's your response to that?
Sure. I think, and I have to say that I know that what was said to me was said out of a genuine concern and want for my success. And it's this ingrained belief system that we have, that in order to be successful, we have to look a particular way. And that's where I think those discussions came from. Because, I mean, to be honest with you, Kay, there's nobody that looks at me and is like, I wonder if she's Black. Like, everyone, you know it as soon as you see me. And when we were having this discussion about appearances, one of the things that was said to me is, you got to rethink your hair. And I was like, well, rethink my hair. Like, what does that even mean? And they're like, you can't, you're going to have to think about maybe straightening your hair, or wearing a piece so that your hair could be straight. And I said to them, like, and because the concept was, NJA is never going to vote for someone that looks like you. And I feel like that was the motivation to demonstrate that, yes, we will. Yes, we will. And we can stop telling women that the way the hair naturally grows out of their head is unacceptable for a workplace, is unacceptable for a campaign, is unacceptable for a state office. And that's a plight that we really only put on Black women, right? That we really only focus on Black women when we say things about how we should wear our hair. And the beauty of it is that when we were referencing the news, someone actually messaged me after and said, you were rocking your hair on the news. And if for me, if that just made one, two, three other people feel like I can get on this Zoom, I can be in this space, I can leave this room looking the way I would naturally look, then that's enough and that suffices. And I think winning this also knocks that out of the park. It knocks that idea that you have to look a particular part in order to serve this association. I am a good, strong president. I'm a good, strong leader. And my hair has nothing to do with how well I do my job.